feel free to ask maybe towards the end, or if you feel comfortable as we go along in terms of our discussions, you can ask me questions there and then as well. And that would allow you to, confidently get into the course with us.
All right.
Right. So let me start off. So you don't need to mute your microphone. I think what I would suggest at some stage is whenever you have a couple of minutes, you might need to switch on your camera for a while, because you're going to do this course through distance learning with us. And what tends to happen is most awarding bodies would want to see the learner once. So this particular part tends to be the case wherein we would ask you to switch on your webcam, and then maybe for a couple of seconds, if it is there, then we know that you're an actual learner. It's not a ghost learner. And then, this is a term, obviously, as you know, distance learning has become quite synonymous after COVID.
Yeah, yeah.
But with the changing guidelines which have been introduced by, awarding organizations, what they tend to do is ensure that, there are learners who are actually at the end of the other side, actually studying the course, with us. So it'll be good to get you obviously switched on, even if I want you to do this induction over the weekend, but what tends to happen is when you're at home, you're lazy and you're not dressed up. And that's why
Yeah,
I
correct,
decided
correct.
that, I'll do it from the office and I'll do it on Monday. So obviously that was one of the main reasons I shied away from doing it on the weekend. And I think this weekend was I would say very exhaustive for us, because and I think everybody needed a break is because we had our annual graduation ceremonies, which concluded on Friday. And obviously, lots of preparation goes into, ensuring that we have a successful one. So we had about
Exactly.
210 people attending it. And after the Friday's, burden lifted off of everybody's shoulders, I think this weekend was, everybody was relaxing. So in a way, it was blessing in disguise because I didn't want to do it on the weekend, and at the same time, you also were, accommodating in the sense saying, "Okay, let's do this on these days. I'm flexible." So let's start off with the systems demo, because that will put a lot of things into perspective.
Hmm.
Now, you're going to study the course with us. UK Versity courses for you and staff CPD. There are three different centers, and they're all owned by UK Versity. It's just a case of how we've segmented them across, three geographies. So we have Americas, Europe, Middle East, and Asia. So essentially, all your registrations, everything in the Asian continent, when we look at China, Hong Kong, Australia, everything comes across in Asia, and that is where it is generally courses for you. But all teaching, all learning, everything would typically happen from the UK, and
Okay.
everything that you study with us will come from UK Versity. It's just a case of how we look at, companies and revenue and billing. That is why there's a bit of a difference in terms of when we look at centers. So my induction, my discussion, my everything in terms of teaching and delivery, everything will happen from UK Versity. So everything that I will show you will basically come from UK Versity.
Okay. Okay.
What you see on your site right now is the University website. Now we call it the digital campus. We don't call it the website because we have been set up online since 2012, and that is when Courses for You was actually set up as a project management consultancy. But over the years, it expanded into higher education, and we made it distance learning, wherein Courses for You is purely distance learning. That means you join a course, you can buy the course off the website, and then you're on your own, you get the material and you study. UK Varsity is slightly different, and that's how we treat it is that you do blended learning with us. That means you're going to be studying live. You'll be able to get live lectures from us on across the course for the couple of weeks and months that you're studying.
Okay.
And this would mean that you have full support from both the tutorial team, the administration team, and the course coordination team, so that you're not left on your own to be able to study the courses or the unit that you're studying at any given point in time.
All right.
Now, when you look at UK Versity, there is the website tends to be the starting point, and that's why I want to show this to you. Is for us, as I mentioned, it's a digital campus, and I'll show this to you why. Now, on the homepage itself, you have ways to get in touch with us. So you have an
Yes.
email box, which is 24/7 monitored. You have the college switchboard, which is picked up by 9 different people. If you end up calling us, obviously you'll add +44, and it'll be Monday to Friday. And then you'll also be added to the WhatsApp group, which means that for urgent inquiries, any such issues, problems that you face, or if you get stuck anywhere, then you can also WhatsApp us. And that tends to be a bit of a different medium because now WhatsApp is more or less a part of our lives.
Yeah,
So
it's more convenient.
yeah, it's more convenient sometimes. So I think in some cases, writing an email becomes a bit troublesome. So that's why
Mhm.
WhatsApp also is accessible, and you'll be added to the tourism and hospitality WhatsApp group, which is where you can also post queries, and tutors, course coordinators should be able to respond back to you in a couple of minutes rather than having to wait for a number of hours to get a response on the email. Now, apart from this, if I go into the About Us section and you go into the operations team, this is the team which is all based out of Manchester, and these are the people who are going to be working with you in terms of tuition, tutorials, teaching, learning, administration side of things. And most of it, you will get to see them on some of the Zoom sessions when you're studying the course. Now, this is me. Obviously, I'm the principal and director, and I founded Courses for You in UK Versity back in 2012 and UK Versity in 2014. So one of my colleagues is Amrita. She basically is a registrar. She has already applied for your registration. You should most
Okay.
probably get a confirmation from OTHM today. They copy us in, but they will also send you a confirmation directly, and that would confirm your registration with us. And that would mean that from day one, you are registered on the course. Obviously, you are on an installment plan. You'd probably get to hear or maybe get an occasional email from Upen and his team, Upen and Heta. So Upen is the financial controller, but Heta is the one who normally would send out emails to you, invoices, updates, and things like that, as and when you make the payments.
Okay, perfect.
Now, in terms of the key people in the team who are going to be speaking to you pretty much on a regular basis, you have Jill. She's the course coordinator. She normally does most of the coordination in terms of scheduling of sessions and tutorials. So when you do receive a schedule, she would be the one who would be responsible for sending it across. And as you start your studies with us for the first unit, that schedule will either come from Jill or will come from Aman. They both are course coordinators.
Okay.
And they are the ones which basically are between you and the lecturers. So, which lecturer to teach which unit, who's the specialist on that particular unit, they exactly know, and they are the ones who would do that matchmaking so that when you are getting a lecture, you're getting it from the most reputed and the most experienced lecturer teaching that particular unit.
Okay.
You have a colleague called Gertha. She is a student coordinator, and obviously, she would get in touch with you once in a fortnight to keep a tab on the progress of your course, to see how you're progressing. Are you able to access the course? Are you getting your lectures? Are you able to submit assignments? Things like that. She would basically do the check on that. Grace typically looks after things on the IT and marketing side. So if you need any recordings, any lectures, if there is any resource which is missing, then what will tend to happen is you would write an email to her or she would get in touch and she would facilitate that. Now, the reason why we say digital campus, we have David Law, and I'll show you that in a second. This is a chatbot integration that we've done, and there are over 1 million lines of code that we've trained the chatbot on. So if you ask any question in any language, at least we've tested that out in 16 or 17 languages, and you ask a question, it is able to respond back to you almost instantly and gives you lots of information and detailed information. So sometimes if you're not able to get in touch with us or maybe the relevant colleague, then the idea would be to click on this chat with us option, which I'll show you in a second. And that will
Okay.
allow you to get answers to anything that you're getting stuck in terms of studying the course. Now, there are a lot of assessors because, as you know, qualifications in the UK are assessed not through exams, specifically the higher qualifications, but they are assessed through assignments. So we have a lead assessor, Reena. She would be the one who would be pretty much marking some of your assignments when you do submit. And then the quality manager or the IQA, Shazia, she would be confirming that the judgments are correct and they are not lenient or borderline. Now, the qualification that you're studying, although is not graded because OTHM qualifications aren't, they're just pass and refer. We won't let you fail. The reason I say refer is because at some stage, if we do feel that the evidence that you provided is shy or is less, then there would be directive feedback given to you to say, okay, this is what you need to add, this is how you need to change, and
Okay.
that would allow you to achieve your unit. So there'll be no scenario in which you will not achieve a unit. There'll be a scenario where you achieve all the 120 credits, all the 6 units to be able to
Okay.
achieve the full qualification. Now, in terms of teaching, just to give you a bit of a background and just to mention, if you have to ever write to anybody in UK Versity, it is it is going to be very simple. It's just the first name followed by ukversity at .co.uk. So if you need to write to Reena, it's Reena at ukversity.co.uk. If you write to Anjum, it's Anjum at ukversity. If you write to Shazia, it's Shazia at ukversity. If you need to write to
Okay.
me, it's just the first name followed by the footer or the website or the
Okay.
domain. Now, in terms of tourism lecturers, we have Anjum, who teaches tourism. We have Yasir, and you will have myself, which will be teaching tourism. There are lots of other lecturers which can teach certain units because there are units like the research unit, there is a marketing unit, and because you're doing a level 7 qualification, essentially these qualifications at 6 and 7 tend to be more generic and broad based. That means you're going to be studying different aspects of how you look at management, which is finance, marketing, HR, change, research related things, and also related to, I would say one of the units is destination management. So how do
Yes.
you manage, or come up with newer locations for tourism and how do you develop them? So, and technology, I think, is also one of the units. So essentially, what you're going to do is basically when you get lecturing from the lectures, you're going to get lectures from people who are specialist in their areas. So when I look at Anjum, obviously he has a tourism qualification, but he's an MSc in business management. He's also an MA in international marketing. When I look at Yasir, he's an LLM and also a law lecturer, but he also understands the legislation and the complex nature of when tourism has to be developed in locations. What are the compliances and regulations which
Mhm.
you have to go through? So anybody that you would get lectures from would essentially be at least double masters in the UK. They have been teaching in the UK for the last 10 to 12 years minimum. And most of us teach in universities or large FE colleges, which are government colleges. But obviously, some of them are full time with us and they are a part and parcel of our qualification and obviously the college. So there are lots of different people, but I think when we look at the ones that you are going to be in touch with, and you'd probably hear or see them on Zoom sessions, are going to be the coordinators, and obviously at some stage, the key lecturers, and you'd be able to see 2 or 3 lecturers during the course of your study with us. It's not going to be one lecturer delivering the entire course to you. Is that okay?
Okay. Yes. Perfect.
Now, the chatbot part side of things, which I say digital campus, if you have any question that you can think of, let's ask this and try it out. Do you have any question in your mind right now?
Let's ask about plagiarism.
Okay. So plagiarism. So if you type even words or something which is predominantly related to things which are on the website. So as of now, the last question we had asked him was, can you speak in Spanish? So what is plagiarism or similarity in assignments? So what it will do is it'll give you details of how plagiarism is detected, how and what softwares we use at University, what is the tolerance limit, and in some cases it will tell you how to avoid that if you have to. So it'll give you plagiarism in assignments is looked at from this angle. Similarity is this. There are copies and instances of you copying and pasting directly. There are copies which can be done through AI. There is a copy that you can also use through Google, and it'll give you ways to avoid plagiarism, which is to say, use quotation marks, paraphrase, and include your bibliography and reference list. Any other question that you can think of?
Uh, Submission.
Okay, how do you make a submission? So, assignment submission. And if I ask that question and press enter, it would give you an answer in terms of how and where do you submit assignments. So when you
Oh,
prepare your assignment, you need to email it to us at LearnerWork so that This is a monitored mailbox. You get an acknowledgement receipt to say, yes, your work has been received. And in 5 to 7 working days, you get feedback on your assignment, which would essentially tell you whether you've, met all the assessment criteria. If it hasn't met, then you'll get commenting on it to say, please make change or amend, and then resubmit, and that will allow you to achieve the unit. Now, we have trained it on a million lines of code. You can ask any such questions and it'll answer to the best of its knowledge. I think it is about 95, 96% accurate. And this is something which would be one of the ways that you could check for information should you need at any given point in time. And if you are on the mobile, you open the website up, and that option of chat with us would be available even on the mobile.
Okay.
Now, the other bit that you would also look at some stage would be very briefly mentioning. If I go down to the bottom of the website, you go on to the socials and click on YouTube. The
Yeah.
reason why we say YouTube is it's a free repository. The main part that we are trying to look at is when we do record lectures, because we record pretty much everything, and we've delivered over 10,000 recorded lectures in the last 8, 9 years. So what we do is we put these out on YouTube. One, it is a free repository, as I mentioned. Second, it helps us space. And the third is when you need to refer to these lectures, they are available at a click of a button rather than you having to look at logging into Moodle, going into your course, then going to the unit, and then clicking on it, and then opening the lecture. I'll show you what I mean by that. But because there are lots of lectures on it, and what you need to do is find the ones that you are interested in travel and tourism. So what you have to do is go onto the playlist when you're on the home page. So the first thing I
Okay.
would do is say subscribe to the channel for the duration that you're studying the course with us. There are about 4,000 odd videos which are in the open domain. And when you click on playlist, what I would suggest on the playlist is then you would need to go down and search for the tourism and hospitality management playlist. And that playlist would essentially bring across all the lectures that we've put across in the open domain. And these lectures would be labeled out very nicely. So there are about, say, 193 lectures, and these lectures are labeled out nicely in terms of the units that you're going to study, and you would be able to easily find them should you wish to look at lectures from different, lectures. Because what
Yeah,
tends to
different
happen is
topics.
we have lots of lecturers, and
Yeah.
sometimes we change these units, and these units are then delivered by different people, and they would allow you to also get a bit of variety when you're looking at delivery as far as lecturing is concerned. Now, excuse me. The other thing is you're able to use Zoom, which is absolutely fine. So I don't think you have any issues in terms of Zoom.
No,
Everybody
no, Zoom is fine. Yeah.
was fine. Everybody got used to it during the COVID, and that is one of the reasons why we shifted lock, stock, and barrel to Zoom. I think in 2021, 22. But before that, we had WebEx and Join Me and some of the other softwares that we were using, which were more corporate led. But I think Zoom is very simple to use, and the availability and the learning curve on this is very short. So the last system that you would be looking at using apart from this would be the learner management system. So there is on the website itself, there's a icon that we have got, which is called the LMS. And when you click on that, that opens up the learner management system that you need access to be able to get access to the full course material for the purposes of study. Now, this is a system called Moodle. A lot of universities worldwide use it. We are using it as well. It's heavily customized, but the main idea is that this system is a repository from which you get the presentations, the recorded lectures, the ebooks, the handouts, articles, journals, the assignment briefs, anything that you need to study and have related to your course, you should be able to get from here. Now, the system is quite simple. You would have received a username and password.
Yeah, yeah, I received it.
Great. So username is always in small letters and password is case sensitive. When you put that in and you click on this button, it should log you in. If you ever forget your username and password, what you need to do is it's controlled by the system. It can be reset by it instantly. All you have to do is click on the forget username and password option and then key in your email address, click search, and this will instantly send you back a reset link which will allow you to log back into the system by creating a new password.
Okay.
Now, once you have put your details in, And when you click on the login option, it logs you into the system. And by default, it will take you across to a dashboard wherein it shows you a calendar. Now, you can customize this dashboard if you want to. And this dashboard obviously allows you to sort it out depending on what your preference is. But what you would need to do in this case is go down to where it shows your name. There's a small downward arrow. When you click on that, and then you go onto your profile, and when you go onto your profile, it will show you the full profile that would be there for you on the system. And when you're in the system, the course that you're enrolled in would be shown under your course profile. And if you need to change or get into the course or look at any such amendments, they would normally be done primarily from here. You won't be able to amend your username, but yes, your password and other bits you are in full control of. Now,
Oh,
obviously, the system allows you to do a lot many things, but because in your case the OTHM qualifications are not graded, so grades are not going to be visible here because there are some qualifications that we have which are graded, pass, merit, and distinction, and obviously in such cases they would be visible. You can also have private files on it. You can see your reports, and obviously you can go on to preferences. And if you want to change the layout, you want to change the color, all those bits can be done at your end by looking at doing that.
okay.
Now, how do you see your course? So the option would be to go into My Courses or just the Home option, click on the icon. And when you're in the Home option, the course that you're enrolled in will actually be visible on the first page itself. I've logged in
Okay.
as the administrator right now because I need to show you the system fully. So I see lots of courses which are there, which different learners are studying as far as the college is concerned. But in your case, you would just see one course, and that
Yeah, I
course, when
see that
you click
here.
on it, yeah, when you click on it, it will take you into the course. Now, the course layout is pretty simple. The first few sections of your course are what are called generic documents that you need to go through. And that is where I will draw some part of your attention by signposting them to you to say, okay, can you look at these documents as a bit of bedside reading? Can you familiarize with yourself with this document for now? And they would come in handy and useful at a later stage when you're starting to submit assignments or when you've started to say study one or two units into the course. Now, when you're in the course, your navigation moves to the left. Anything that you want to see on the course, your navigation will move to the left. Okay.
Okay.
Now, in terms of our discussion today, what we are focused on predominantly today would be to go through some of the generic bits and pieces in the course which are related to familiarizing yourself with the course content, the course overview, certain requirements, and obviously things that you need to be aware of when you study this particular course. So I'll take you through when I talk in a bit more detail just after the systems demo. We'll go into a course overview, look at the course handbook, which is here. We'll also look at briefly about Harvard referencing and obviously what makes a good assignment, and plagiarism and malpractice policy. There are lots of policies which we are asked to take you through because you're studying with us through distance learning. But I'm going to not bore you. I'm going to take you through one or two important policies that you need to be aware of so that
Okay.
any given stage, when you get into it, you have that information at hand that, okay, this is something I need to stay away from, or this is something I need to be careful about. Now, when I go into the other sections of the course, what you're going to see is you can obviously collapse these sections just to make it easier for you to see it like a table of contents, as you normally, when you buy a new book or a cover, you normally see them. But obviously, in my case, I've just expanded it all. But what happens is after the generic section, what you're going to see is the units essentially which you are required to study in the course. And when you open any of the units, they would have certain types of documents in it. And this is what I will explain to you in a minute when we go into the course overview. But in a sense, when you look at the system will provide everything. When I say everything, I literally mean everything. That means you don't need to go and search for books elsewhere. You don't need to go and search for presentations elsewhere. You don't need to go and search for recorded lectures elsewhere. You don't need to go and find articles or journals or additional reading material. We will provide all that. All that will come to you from the system. And when you
Okay.
do lectures, these lectures, as I mentioned to you, are recorded. So these recorded lectures also get appended into the Moodle, and you'd be able to watch some of these lectures from within the Moodle itself when you're logged in.
Okay.
So just to give you an idea, if I show you a different course, just for reference purposes, what you're generally going to see is when you're in a particular course, let me have a quick look. This is how videos would normally appear, right? So there'll be a container box. When you click on this, it'll start playing the video within the Moodle. But obviously, if you want to control the speed, you want to listen to it quite quickly, you'd be able to do that. If you want to see it full screen, you'd be able to do that. And as and when the system starts to populate, or if there's a new lecture which has been added, what you're going to see is the older videos get replaced by the newer ones. So you'll not be reading into or listening into something which is going to be, recorded 10 years back or 3 years back.
Okay.
It'll be something which is latest, and it is something which has been revised recently. Now, um, one last thing on the system. What are the different types of documents that you're going to see on the system? So on the system, you're going to get documents which are going to be predominantly of four types. First type of document is going to be a PDF document. These are version control documents. These documents do not change very often because they are awarding body documents. And when you click on any of the PDF document, they will pretty much open straight away on your screen. Okay. The second type of documents that you're going to get are going to be Microsoft Office documents. These documents are going to be documents that we would want to provide as a Word document, as a PowerPoint template, or as an Excel spreadsheet. And they, when clicked on, will actually download to your local machine. That means your PC, your laptop, or Mac, whichever
Yes.
you're using. And the reason is we want you to have these documents because they would be useful either when you do your assessments or when you write your assignments. And some of these then could be used as templates to essentially, create your evidence, or they would be examples which will allow you to see what is required to be done, and then you can create the evidence.
Okay. Okay.
Third type of documents would be video documents, which means they will, when you click on them, they will play as a video because they are recorded videos, and some of them would link up to YouTube on our channel, and some of them would essentially be embedded within the Moodle itself.
Okay.
Last type of documents that you're going to see in the Moodle is going to be documents which are related to books, essentially. They will also be classed as PDFs, but they, under Copyright Licensing Act, would be books that you are able to access. These are traditional academic books that you would normally get from a library, and they are recommended books, which are books recommended in each of the individual units. So what we have done is we bought the electronic or the e-versions of these books, and they are also going to be accessible from individually within the units. Now,
Oh.
some of these books are going to be quite detailed. When you look at the units themselves, these books are 3, 4, 500, 700, 800 pages long. So what will happen at the end of the lectures is we would give you some guidance to say under the plenary slide to say, okay, in order for you to cover this particular topic in a bit more detail, could you refer to pages so and so in this particular book? And they would be for additional reading, for case study, or for example, to pick up real world examples that could be used at a later stage to build your understanding and also used in your assignments when you do start doing the assessments.
Okay.
Is that okay?
On my Moodle, I don't see the study material. So will that get uploaded like one by
Yes.
one?
Yes. It'll be uploaded, and you should be able to see pretty much everything on your side as well. So if you're logged in, what I am seeing is what you should be able to see as well. And that would be available as what I'm showing you right now. So if you go into any
Okay.
of the units, most of the units currently are showing just the books and the assignments and the unit specification. They don't have presentations in it right now. They don't have recorded lectures in it right now, which would be something which Andy in the background or Grace in the background are configuring, and they would start to appear as you give it a couple of minutes, maybe by end of day today.
Okay. Okay.
Now, This is about systems. One last thing which I'll show you is that as I mentioned to you earlier, what we have is also a WhatsApp group. And that WhatsApp group essentially tends to be a group wherein you'd primarily be added, um, to ensure that you are a part of that group, and that allows you to get in touch with us, at any given stage using a college mobile that we have. And those groups essentially would allow you to communicate with us on a quicker basis. So if I look at, I think Gertha would be adding you to that group shortly. And that group essentially will be the travel, tourism, and hospitality group. And that would be, I think we've got Thulani as of now. She's studying on this course. And you would be the second person who's primarily going to be added to this group. So both of you could network, and obviously, things like messages, session invites, units which are starting, assignment submission links. Those are basic bits of, things that we put on this group. Generally, when students finish, so at Nicole, which had finished the course, the students would drop out, and the ones who are joining the course would keep getting added to it. So it's a rolling thing that we have, and it's only for urgent announcements rather than sharing jokes or anything
Okay.
else apart from that,
Yeah.
keeping in mind everybody's privacy. Now, that's all about systems. So, systems wise, you should have access to Moodle. You should be able to know what the website is. And obviously, you should have access to key contacts, which we have put also up on Moodle so that you have it and you know exactly who are the key people that you would be able to get in touch with. And they are here, key personnel and roles. The
Yeah. I've
people.
actually gone through these documents just beforehand.
Oh, that's brilliant. Brilliant. So that saves me going through them. And that is where you should be able to get access to pretty much everything as far as documents and systems are concerned. Now, let's look at very briefly the second part, which I want to take you through, which is the course handbook. And that
Okay.
document is here. It's the first document in your course section. Now, every 5 years, course specifications are revised. So this course specification has been revised in June this year. I think previous to that, the specification was revised in 2021 May, I think. So what you're going to be reading into is if there are minor tinkerings or additions which change and changes which happen, they are all updated every 5 years, and that allows you to study something which is more or less up to date rather than studying something which is not meeting your requirements or not meeting the current trends and requirements in the market. Now, this is an international qualification, internationally recognized. So, should you wish to check, you can go onto the off-call register, and if you put that reference number in, that will tell you when this qualification was approved, is it internationally valid, and obviously how much credits does it have, and all those basic bits which are given here would be confirmed on the off-call website, which is the Office of Qualifications and Examination regulator like the Ministry of Education in Pakistan or Higher Education Authority in
Yeah.
Pakistan. It's similar to that in the UK. Now, when I look at the structure of the qualification, there are 6 units, and all these units are mandatory. There is no optional, so you have to study all the units to be able to complete the qualification.
Okay.
And when you look at this qualification, as I mentioned to you, you're going to be looking at broad basing and understanding subject areas which are required to step into management. So you have strategic management and marketing as one of the units. You have destination management, you have tourism, policy, and international development. So I think when people study tourism qualifications at level 4 and 5, what they're looking at is they're learning more things like planning and branding and retail software side of things. But at level 6 and 7, you are more into understanding how to look at policy development, how to look at let's say taking management decisions which are going to be long-term or short-term decisions for the organization. And that is where the units that you're going to study in the level 7 are geared to give you insight into how policy development is done, how international tourism works at how tourism works at the international level, what are the nuances, regulations, legislations that you would need to comply with. Some of them would be related to even environment, the triple bottom line concept that we would study, or look at now the global warming side of things, the sustainability
Yeah.
side of things which are coming up. And all those are going to be covered in, policy development that you would study in this unit. Now, couple of years back, when I say couple, I think if I can remember about 15 years back, when Facebook started going mainstream in 2008, 9, 10, we had lots of different companies coming up and tourism started to go digital, which meant that you could go to the tour operator rather than go to the office. You could go online and start comparing hotels and start seeing rooms and do comparison on prices, and those kind of concepts started to come up in 2008, 9, 10. So how digital tourism has become important and why is it important for every operator, as we call it, the OTAs and the tour operators and airline operators to work together, and how this has now become an industry which is very, very closely linked to technology is
Yeah,
something that
very much. Yeah.
you would study that in digital tourism. And obviously, consumer behavior is very important. So, organization behavior is a unit that you would also look into to understand, customer feedback and obviously surveys and repeat business loyalty that look at when you look at different types of programs which are created in this industry, which are loyalty programs. Some part of that would be covered across in the organizational behavior unit. Research is a generic unit which is more related to market research and looking at understanding trends and obviously how things are changing over a point in time. Here is where you would be required to obviously undertake a research project which will be specific within the tourism and hospitality sector. But you're not looking at carrying out the full research. This is looking at essentially giving you the insight into how research is carried out, why is it important within this sector, and should you need to do so in the future, when you do make a decision, then why is it and what data is to be captured and how it is to be captured would be the emphasis of studying this unit. So this will be slightly theoretical, but here the idea is to understand why research is an integral part of tourism and hospitality industry.
Is it
So
like a pre for a dissertation, like a preparation type?
correct, yes. So here in this case,
Okay.
the actual assignment is going to ask you to do, I think 2,500 word assignment, which is like a research proposal you prepare. But that would see the origins of you having a good understanding in terms of how to carry out research, rationale, aims, objective, what is literature review. You would be looking at some sort of a methodology, mixed primary, secondary, and then you'd also come up with a conceptual framework. But it's all going to be done from a proposal stage point of view. You're not going to carry out
Oh,
the research. So it is
okay.
theoretical to help you understand how research is carried out and what are the various parts of the research. So 5 chapters that we are synonymously aware of, that you look at: introduction, research methodology, literature review, data collection, analysis, finding, conclusion, recommendations, ethical considerations. Those are the bits that you will go through in this particular unit.
Okay. Okay.
Now, you met the entry requirements in any case because you have your previous qualifications. You're over the age of 21, so you don't need to get into the entry requirements. Yes, after doing this program, a number of universities accept you into a top-up degree, and that will be an MA in tourism and hospitality management, which could be generally through the route of what is called a top-up or advanced entry. That means you'd be required to study one module and do a dissertation or a major research project of 10 to 12,000 words, and that should award you the 60 credits and also the master's degree, should you wish to do so, which will be the progression that you can look at some stage after completing the diploma.
I
Because
wanted to ask, sorry,
what?
is there like a deadline, or like I have to complete my master's in this many year, or this certificate diploma will become invalid? Is there like a deadline, or I can do whenever I want?
See, it's a good question. Generally speaking, I would put it this way that because this qualification, as you see, has been revised in June 2024, normally qualifications in the UK are revised every 5 years as per the
Okay.
guidelines. So if you plan to study further, I would suggest doing or taking this further to achieve the 60 credit should be done in 2 to 3 years time frame after completing the diploma. because then
Okay.
most universities see this content that you have studied, the units and the modules that you have studied, as being current, not obsolete, not outdated, and that allows them to progress you comfortably into accepting you into a master's degree. But if the qualification becomes old, in my case, I'll give you an example. I did something like a strategic management and leadership course with Pearson way back in 2014. But during COVID, as you know, a lot of people wanted to study, and I wanted to top it up to a degree. But because my qualification, I'd done it in 2014, and when COVID hit, it was 21, 22, they said, no, this qualification, the unit specification and other things have changed, will not be acceptable. So
Okay.
generally, I would say 3 to 4 years is what you need to keep in mind so that you are well within that time frame of universities not having to look at revising the content and allowing them to map and give you exemptions, thereby making it easier for you to achieve that degree.
Okay. Thank you.
But this could be done with any university in the UK. We have some partner universities we can refer to at any given stage once you complete. I have had students who have done this and have moved to Canada or Australia. They have gone into the universities there and they have accepted them into a top up. But in some cases, UK universities, because it's a UK based qualification, UK and European universities would give you, mostly exemptions for 120 credit. But sometimes in Canada, Australia, or Sweden, or some of the other countries wherein learners have gone after this qualification, they've got 90 credit exemption, so they've been asked to study another 90 credits, which means 1 or 2 modules with a dissertation to be able to achieve a master's degree.
Okay. Okay.
But there'll be all sorts of options available to you at any given stage.
All right.
One of the things that you can also look at is, are you working in this sector?
Yes, I was working in this sector.
All right. So if one of the concepts in the UK education is if you have had experience, prior experience or knowledge of working within a particular sector, and then they have given you opportunities for training. Then in such cases, if you have training and training certifications, we can look at those certifications for the purposes of any sort of exemptions if they can apply. For example, if you have studied marketing management and strategic management, and it is something which relates to the content which I will show you of the unit, then you can forward those certifications to us and we can put it forward to OTHM to say, this is something which the learner has already studied. These are the contents part of it which match. Can the learner get exemptions? Which in some cases means that you would have to submit less assignment. Does not mean that that unit will show as exempted in your final certification. It's just a
Okay.
case of maybe reducing a bit of work if you have studied that particular part or the part of that qualification, and we can look at that for accreditation to prior learning as well.
Okay.
Now, apart from that, if you see, it's not a very detailed course handbook, it's a functional handbook which tells you about a couple of things. But if you go down to page 7 onwards, basically what we've done is we've taken out this, what is called the unit specification of each of the units, and they have been individually uploaded into individual units on Moodle. So you would not need to go through this, but at some stage, while you are at it, I would suggest if you want to familiarize yourself with what is the unit, what you're going to study, and what is the contents of the unit, this part of unit specification is quite useful for you to just, kind of glean and breeze through in terms of understanding what all is going to be studied in each of the units. So if you look at strategic management and marketing, you've got the units broken down into what are called learning outcomes and assessment criteria. So if I look at learning outcomes, this unit has 4 learning outcomes, and we are going to do 5 lectures to cover this particular unit. The fifth
Okay.
lecture is going to be the assignment brief discussion that we do to tell you how to go about doing the assignment after we have completed the study of the unit. And in each lecture that we do, we cover one learning outcome and all the assessment criteria which are given in that particular learning outcome. So we'll have one lecture which will say learning outcome 1, talk about strategic management in the context of travel, tourism, and hospitality. And then in that, we'll cover some of these tasks which are mentioned and the content which is mentioned here to say that I can't teach you anything under the sun, but it'll be specific to what the awarding body has given us guidelines on to cover within that unit.
Okay.
Is that okay? So There are going to be 6 units that you're going to study, and each of these are what are called unit specifications for that unit, which lecturers use to create the content presentations. And obviously, the teaching and delivery, which is done on the basis of what is being given in the indicative content and the learning outcome and assessment criteria. I just can't be teaching you anything under the sun, because at the end of the day, these units have to conform to what has been asked for and what has been referred from the point of view of you having to study in that unit. Is that okay?
Yeah, got it.
Okay. One quick thing, let me show, which I want to in a second. 1 second. So when you look at the presentations for the unit, and if I show you a couple just to draw your attention towards how they would be, the presentations that we have are quite detailed. They are not the ones that we study about, okay, as a corporate presentation, when you make, you have 3 bullet points, don't write more than 30 words in this slide and things like
Yeah.
that. No, they are going to be quite detailed, because what we want to be able to do is cover most of the content of the unit in detail. And when I show you some presentations, just as an example right now, so they are going to be, bucking that trend, which is what we've actually learned. So when we go through these, you would see that they are quite worded, but they cover details of what is being asked to, study in that particular unit. And to a certain extent, they are going to be quite extensive. So when we teach and deliver the sessions, we are not going to be reading from the slides, but we are going to go through and discuss with examples and
Okay.
major parts of it, to say this is how you use this. This is how. Let's take an example now. One of the models is a Porter's framework of competitive forces. So what are the 5 competitive forces which any company would look at when they enter a market or a new destination for tourism? So we'll take that up with an example of Mauritius or Maldives or Dubai or anything like that. And that is what we are going to discuss when we cover the theory part of it, and we also then cover a real world example to say that this is how you would essentially go about covering a particular task in the assignment or in the unit. And that is where you are going to see that the units are going to be quite detailed. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's good.
Good stuff. So these presentations would take a day or so, and they are currently, Andy is undergoing, making sure they are refreshed, they are properly formatted, because when we do have lecturers using them, we keep adding slides. As you can see, this one has 94 slides. So this won't be put up as 94 slides, because it will be broken down into many learning outcomes, and
Oh,
it's easier for you to then go through and read in the unit as far as the material is uploaded onto Moodle. Okay.
yeah, got it.
Now, in terms of giving you a quick bit of feedback on how do we, how do you submit assignments and how do you get feedback, and what are the ways in which we help you to get and submit the work which is required by the awarding body, so that your certification has no ifs and buts when it comes to at the end, certification. So let me just go back to the notepad. Now here, if I look at, so in terms of teaching material, just to emphasize, you have presentations, you have lectures, handouts. So give you an example of handout just on that side. Um, when you would see presentations, what will also happen is under presentations, you're going to sometimes see handouts, because in some cases, if I just mention the evolution of strategic management, now this is a huge topic that I can probably spend 4 lectures on and take you through 17th century, 18th century, 19th century, 21st century, and then post Karl Marx, and then still you might not get a full hang of it. So in some cases, what we will do is we will give you handouts, which are going to be articles or journals or smaller versions of case studies to read. and they would help you crystallize, understand what has been covered in the presentation with that
Okay.
additional reading that you do in those articles. Now, those articles are going to be from international journals of marketing or tourism. Some of them come across from case studies, but they are all going to be, relevant. Wherever they are uploaded, they are going to be relevant for you because they would give you additional knowledge, what is required to get from by reading them in terms of either real life examples or practical examples. Now, if I look at now the assessment and feedback process. Now, how would the assessment and feedback process essentially work? Now, the first thing that you have to keep in mind is that because everything is assessment based, so the submission of assignment, as I mentioned to you, is done on email. You can also submit it on the system, but the problem is on the system when you submit, the work also triggers an email to the external quality assurer. So we don't
Oh,
want
okay. Okay.
we don't want the work to directly get a trigger to her or him simply because if the work fails, they will fail the work. So what we want to do is look at an opportunity of giving you what is called a formative feedback, which is ongoing feedback to say your work is conforming to the standards, the work is fine, and now you should be able to submit. So everything that you submit is going to come onto the email, and that would allow us to give you some feedback on the work that you have submitted. Now, once the work is meeting the criteria, you would get what is called an assessment sheet, and that will confirm your achievement. That I will show you what does it mean. And then once that is done, the IQA or the internal quality assurer also agrees with that grade. Now, obviously, as I mentioned, it is not a graded qualification, but the grade achieved is pass. And once that is pass and agreed, that is set in stone. Nobody can change that grade. That means you have completed that unit and that unit will be certificated.
Okay.
Now, this process works seamlessly, and how it works, I'm going to show you an example right now. So let me ask you the quick question. How are you, attending this induction? Is this on a phone, laptop? What are you using?
Laptop.
Okay, that's great. So you have a big enough screen, and that will allow me to share, the screen with you on a couple of documents on the screen with you. So just give me 1 second. Let me open up one or two documents. And I'm just going to randomly show you one or two just to give you an idea in terms of how this works. Okay, so let me open this up. Okay, let me share my full screen with you. Let me just minimize a couple of windows and let me organize some of them separately.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, now what you see on your screen is 4 documents essentially. We just close the side views. So what you see on your screen is 4 documents. Okay. Now, the first document that you normally, when you submit an assignment to us, is called the front cover sheet or an assignment cover sheet. Now, this cover sheet is basically a declaration which you will get as a Word document, and you would be able to download it. You'd be able to save it. You'd type your name here, your registration, the center name, the course name, and then you keep changing the unit, date, and word count as in when you are submitting your assignment. Now, this is a declaration from you, from the student to say, that what I'm submitting is my own work. I've not colluded with anybody. I've not used any software to write the assignment. And my work is fully referenced and is non-plagiarized. This is like a declaration that you sign and you provide
Okay.
essentially when you submit assignment. So this is an administrative bit that you will download from Moodle, which I'll show you where to download from. And once you have it, you just keep changing the name of the unit, word count, and the date, and you submit with every assignment that you submit. Now, the second document, which is this in the middle, is the Word document which the learner has actually submitted in terms of the assignment. So what has happened in this case is the learner has, obviously, as you can see, formatted the document, created a structure for it. And in some cases, the assignment which has been submitted is a combination of tasks which the learner has done. And what
Okay.
we've done is we have checked, the assignment for check for AI, because nowadays artificial intelligence, chat GPT, a lot of different softwares can be used. So one of the mandatory criteria which the awarding bodies are asking us to check is that when learners submit work, is the work written by AI or not? So we have AI reports that we use, and obviously we will check the work from that. The second bit that we do is on the work which has been submitted, we also do commenting, as you can see right on the right hand side. Now,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
to identify whether you've met the criteria, whether the task has been done in sufficient amount of detail, and has the task, related to the assignment brief, and is it meeting the requirements of the evidence asked for. And this bit is done as annotation on your assignment, which is what we provide. And we check at our end whether you are subsequently hitting all the criteria given in the assignment brief. Now, along with that, the work is also scanned for plagiarism. So in this case, as you can see, there is no AI, and obviously it is only 0.6% plagiarism. That means the assignment is more or less fully originally written by the learner. Up to 20% similarity is allowed, but anything over 20% will be considered as what is called malpractice. So in this case, as you can see, it is less than 20%, and this report is also provided to the awarding organization at the time of certification. And in order to confirm the judgment and the work which is meeting the criteria, this is now a summative sheet that you get to say why you have passed the assignment. And it gives some sort of subjective commenting to say why you've achieved all the task and why is the assignment a pass, and you can now move on to the next unit.
Okay. This is after the external assessor has
No,
checked.
no, no. This is all internal.
Internal. Okay.
If you reach this stage wherein everything is internal, there is nothing external at our end.
Oh,
This is something that you submit. This is also you submit. We mark your work, and then the internal quality assurer checks and agrees with the judgment. This is
okay.
all happening with us,
Okay. Okay.
right? Now, if there are issues, the issues will be flagged up here because it will say that part of the assignment is AI. If it is showing plagiarism, then the report will go back to you from one of the administrators, Gartha, and she will say that, okay, if you look at this particular report, you need to paraphrase, reference the work because it is exceeding the 20% similarity which is allowed. And then once you resubmit that back to us, the final summative feedback would be done. And once
Okay.
it's done and agreed, your unit is signed off and is ready for certification.
Okay.
Okay. Now, at some stage, you get that finalized work, but that finalized work, the external verifier sees this particular report, which has been done by the internal verifier on that assignment to say why the work is meeting the criteria. And this
Okay.
is something that you do not get, but this is a report which the report goes to the awarding body to say that we have checked everything. This is our, what do you call, our take on it. And basis this, they will approve your certification.
Okay.
Okay. Now, how would your certification look like? Now, OTHM and most awarding bodies in the UK have now stopped issuing what is called electronic certifications, simply because the HESA or the HEDD initiative, which is a mandatory initiative introduced by the government in 2016, higher education digital database. So, in order to avoid piracy, in order to avoid forgery, what the UK government has started in 2016 was that it is now asking all awarding bodies, all universities to provide certification electronically. Now, when this is provided to you, you are able to get absolutely everything, verified, checked at a click of a button because you have access to a portal. And if you scan the barcode, which is available on the certificate, it will scan it back to the awarding organization's homepage. And that would itself show to your employer, to any such person or place that you're giving the qualification to for verification, that this is a genuine qualification. Because if they have issued it, it will open on the website. If they haven't issued it, it won't open on the website at all. So if I look at showing you a quick scan, and I scan this barcode from my phone, it will show you straight away on OTHM's website, and the whole certificate will open up,
Okay, okay, okay.
right? So what will also happen at your end is once this certification is issued, it's a two-page transcript, you will get a login from OTHM's portal, and that login will remain with you for life. So you can order a reprint, you can send it for verification to an employer. If a lot of people during COVID did it for WES for Canada immigration purposes, all such part of it now is done electronically using the portal. So in your case, if we were to look at, let's say, getting this login, when would you get that login? One, when the certification is released and you get an email from us that the certification has happened, in 2 or 3 working days, what will happen is you would get logins from OTHM, and those logins essentially would allow you to log into this portal. And this account and login you need to keep safe and remember it so that you have it for life.
Okay.
Once you log into this portal, you'll be able to go in, order a print if you want. You'll be able to see your records and what certifications you have done. And as a center, we've got this login so we can see all certifications that we've done in the last 9 years, and they're all available to us electronically. Okay. Now, the other bit, how do you see this at your end? And this is something which they started from February, 2022, and it is up on their site, and it says e-certificate and verification. So when you click on this, at some stage when you get your access and logins, you'll be able to verify this pretty much instantly by logging into the portal with the details given to you.
Okay.
Okay, so there is no print certification which OTHM issues. It's all done electronically, and at some stage when you get an email from Amrita saying the certification process is now started, it will take 5 to 7 days for the process to be completed, and within that time frame, you'll be able to get hold of your certification.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, got it.
Now, that brings me to the last few questions which I want to check with you, so that we can start putting together a teaching schedule for you. So, what are the ideal days on which you are able to, do classes with us?
I can do weekdays. Like I'm okay with weekdays.
So, weekdays, what times would it be suitable?
Um,
So, Monday to
for
Friday,
me,
yeah.
yeah, I for me afternoon timings are okay. Like afternoon to evening, that's fine.
So, because of the summer time right now, British Summer Time BST, I think there's a 4 hour difference between UK and
Yes.
Pakistan. So when you say afternoon, what time do you mean? Do you mean 2 p.m. like we're doing the induction today?
We can do earlier also.
Right, okay. The reason I'm saying it is because what we're going to do is kind of set this in stone. So once we decide on a particular time with you and the timings are suitable for you, what we will do is send you a schedule for the next 6 to 8 weeks. And that
Okay.
schedule would mean that, lectures would happen pretty much 2 or 3 lectures, depending on how many you can attend a week and you're comfortable with. We normally start one unit. Once you get adjusted to our delivery and the pace at which we are delivering, then what we'll do is we can start 2 units. So you have one lecture being delivered, or one unit being delivered by one lecturer and the other unit being delivered by a different lecturer.
Okay.
So when you say timing wise, should I then take down, because I'm going to give this feedback to Jill and Aman, and they are going to start then for the process of, scheduling the sessions. So they would come across to you in a format which is an email. Let me just show you one example. And when it comes to you for the full unit. That means
Okay.
they will have all the learning outcomes. Sorry, they will go across to all the students on that course. Sometimes we have students in Australia, in Los Angeles, and we have three, four time zones. So it might be just that in some cases you might be the only student, because when we look at somebody who's in Los Angeles or Canada, they are 6 hours behind us. And when we look at Pakistan time or India time or Dubai time, it won't be possible because there'll be an 11-hour difference. So in some cases, the lectures are going to be specific for you, and the idea here, the lectures that we will do would be only if you attend, because we've got enough recordings. I don't think any lecturer of mine gets any joy in sitting in front of the PC and recording it simply because they're talking to the PC. And we have enough recorded lectures to be able to give you for you to be able to watch. So the reason of live lectures is to ensure that you are able to attend. So when the schedule comes to you, it'll come to you like this. It'll say, "Dear all, name of the lecturers, days,
Okay.
timings," and each of this schedule for the unit for each learning outcome will have a specific code. So if you click on a wrong code, you're waiting in another room and the lecture has started in a different room. So you'll have to be
Okay. Okay.
very specific. Maybe
Okay.
add them to your phone or your laptop calendar so that you know exactly what days your lectures are happening. And that's why this summary mail or schedule actually goes out even before the lecture actually starts, a couple of days before the lecture starts. So, whilst I appreciate you said Monday to Friday, which is very good, but what I want to do is fix up a time. Is 3 p.m. UK time suitable when you
3
say
p.m. UK time.
yeah, it'll be 7 p.m. at your time, or do you want us to look at 2 p.m., 1 p.m.? What time do you think would it be convenient?
Will your morning work for you? Like your morning timings?
Yeah, it will work for us as well.
So I'm okay with 1 to 4 p.m. Pakistan time. So that will be your morning time basically.
Right, okay. So if I look at that one, that would be say 9 to I would say 12 p.m.
12, yeah.
9 a.m. to 12 p.m. would be the ideal time, Monday to Fridays, right?
Correct.
And do you want to have any lectures on the weekends?
No, it would be preferable to avoid the weekends.
That's fine. No worries. So I'll keep this timing in mind, and what we're going to do
Okay.
is basically come back to you, with the first unit and the schedule. So I know that OTHM has just sent out that registration email, which you should have as well.
Yeah, but I did not receive any like learner registration number or anything.
No, no,
Yeah.
you would get that in a couple of minutes because I have had
Oh,
information already from OTHM.
okay, okay.
You should also get that shortly. So they have given us a number, and what Aman will also be doing later today is he's going to issue you an enrollment letter, which is a confirmation from our side. Apart from that, you have the email, but it's just to have a formal letter that you are doing this course with us. So he will issue that to you shortly. But I know that the registration number has been allocated, and that email has come into us. So you should
Oh,
also get that system generated email, which will be coming out to you from OTHM shortly.
oh, okay, perfect.
Is that okay? Now, apart from that, I think if you give it today's day, the presentations and other materials should be up and running for the first few units on your side. And then what I will do is I'll pass this feedback on to Jill and Aman. Jill is on leave this week, so the schedule will actually come to you from Aman. And August, everybody is just taking turns to take some time off. We don't break for summer as other colleges and universities do. So we work 24/7, 365 days a year, but you would generally have some people going on leave this month for a week or 10 days, and then they are back. But that won't mean that the teaching won't happen or you will not get the information. But just to inform you that if you're expecting a call from Jill, it might not happen this week, it might happen next week. But yeah,
Oh, okay.
probably get something coming your way from Aman, who's going to put together the first unit and then get that schedule across to you shortly.
Okay, perfect.
Good stuff. Any other questions that you have for me at this stage?
Yeah, let me just open my camera so
Sure.
you can. Uh, okay, my camera is not working right now, but I will enable it the next time.
That's perfectly okay, not a problem. So we'll get
So
to one
yeah,
of the questions and I'll ask one of my lecturers to make sure that we've just recorded slightly, so that it's something, one of the requirements. It's not a hard and fast
yeah,
requirement,
yeah. No, it's
one of the
fine. It's fine.
requirements that we can get you on. But is there any other questions apart from this at your end?
Yeah, I wanted to ask. So when I was in university, my
Hmm.
assignments used to be submitted through Turnitin,
Yeah,
and what we could do is basically we could see the plagiarism in real time before the submission, like before the deadline, and we could submit it again and again. We could see our plagiarism, we could correct it, we could submit it again. So it was like in our hands. So over here, do I have to basically just send an email and then the assessor will tell me about the plagiarism and then I can correct it and resend it? That's the process, correct?
right. So that is the process. Yes, what you've said is partly correct, but slight bit of variation in that process would be that when you do ask for the plagiarism scan to be sent over, what will tend to happen is that we use what is called the AI detection scanner, which has the built-in plagiarism software in it. So let me just
Okay.
show you that for a second. One minute. Just opening that screen up for you. So basically, what will happen at some stage would be when you do get the email. When you do send an email, you send it to Learner Work, and you'll say, okay, this is my draft assignment. I would want to check what is the plagiarism scan on this. So what will at some stage happen is when you send that over to us, we are going to essentially go into our scanner. And when we go into our scanner, what tends to happen is that we are going to scan your document. Now, when we
Okay.
scan your particular document, if the document comes up with AI, as you can see, there are documents from other learners which do come up with AI. So what will happen is it will show up as a document here. When I click on this document, we are going to trigger an email from here on our system, which will come to you. It'll ask you to create a free account. And anything which is highlighted as yellow, as you can see, are the
Okay.
bits that you will need to paraphrase and, change. And in such cases, the amendments will happen on the editor itself on the screen.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then when you submit, we get an email back to say now the revised work has come in from the learner. So it gets into a bit of revision to keep track of from where it started and where it has ended. So that
Okay.
would happen from within the software that we have, and that is where you will get the email from. Okay. Now, how do you know there is no sharp learning curve on that side in terms of that you need to be aware of this or aware of that? Just to show you a quick example of a report, any report that you get, and at any given point in time that report comes, what will happen at that stage would be that you would be basically looking at that report, and towards the end of that report, in the last page, you are going to have some instructions which will tell you exactly how it needs to be reference how you what is the how do you follow the report essentially, or what is
Okay.
it that you need to do in that report. This is an example of a report. Now what will happen is when you go on to the last page, it will tell you exactly what requires to be done in this report, and when you are clicking on this, it will ask you to create a login, and that login should allow you to then follow the process on the screen to be
Okay.
able to take you through. There is a 3-minute video that we are going to send at some stage. It's not something that we are hoping or we are assuming that you are going to have or have the requirement for this particular report and this particular training. But what at some stage will happen is when you do submit your first assignment, if you do find that it is bordering in that direction, we're going to send you a link of a video that you watch. It explains the full process, how you go about the process of correcting it, paraphrasing it, and then how do you resubmit it back to be able to achieve that unit.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Got it.
good stuff. Any other questions?
Nothing for now. You pretty much cleared everything up, so I'm good.
Good stuff. So if you do think of anything in the future, what I might suggest is you can drop me an email at raman@ukversity. That's my email address. Let me show you my screen, and that should allow you to ask any question if you even think of it later. And I would get back to you with some additional information with regards to that. But
Okay.
apart from that, I think I'll send you a copy of this recording that you can also have at your end, and then hopefully we'll be catching up when I teach when it comes to teaching one of the units or one or two units that I teach in this qualification.
Yeah, perfect. So basically, right now I have to wait for the schedule and everything for the classes to start.
Yes. So what we'll do is today being Monday, I don't think we'll be looking at scheduling anything for today and tomorrow, but we'll try and put together something for you from Wednesday. The
Okay.
registration email you should definitely get today. The copy of this recording you should get today. At least two or three units should be fully populated on the course that you are able to start reading into. And then the scheduling part of it, I think either it'll be done later this evening or it'll be done early morning tomorrow. And that will be with once Aman has had a quick word with and seen the availability of Yasser, myself, and Anjum. And what he'll do is schedule the first unit, and you should get that in email. And the class, hopefully, the classes will start for you from Wednesday.
Okay. Thank you so much. Perfect.
No worries. And how do you pronounce your name, Arwa? Is it
Yeah,
Arwa?
correct. Yes,
Okay,
Arva. Correct.
that's great, Arwa. No worries. Good talking to you, and hopefully we'll get to meet up with you in the next sessions. But until then,
Yeah.
and bye for now.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Take care. Thanks. Bye.
Take care, you too. Bye.